If he were to lose again, what would that mean for the country in your estimation?
We'd have an uprising. There's too many people that are ready to go now.
When you say, what does that mean? Can you be specific?
Civil war. Civil war.
You think it'll be a civil war if Trump loses again?
Oh, yes, I do. I know with people that I talk to, I'm a churchgoer, and I love God more than my life. But there are things that I do for God that I don't do for anybody else. And this is one thing I know that God needs some help here.
What are the chances of a second civil war? According to a new Rasmussen poll, quite a few Americans believe it's not only possible, but that it's imminent. While the question may seem silly to ask, the results do suggest a deepening divide on our own turf, perhaps exacerbated with an election right around the corner. 41% of registered voters believe it's likely we see Civil War II within the next 5 years. 49% don't believe a civil war will happen within that time frame. 10% weren't sure. So it's fairly even split of Americans believing the country's current differences will turn into conflict in the next few years. Of those who believe a civil war is likely, 37% say a civil war is most likely to happen if Biden is reelected. 25% believe it's more likely if Trump gets a second term. The poll was conducted just as a Civil War movie hit theaters, sparking a lot of buzz over what a domestic war would even look like 150 years since the first one. 20 years ago, more Democrats than Republicans believed the federal government had too much power. Now, that hasn't only switched, but a whopping 73% of Republicans believe the government is too big compared to 31% of Democrats. A country with largely two political ideologies and a lot less middle ground to stand on. Will the pendulum swing again to where the differences in opinion won't be so polarized? Or will they just further split? And if so, could it really lead to another civil war?
47% of people said in a recent poll that they're fearful of civil war in this country. Do you feel like we're close to that?
I mean, yes. Yeah.
In what way? I mean, we can't have a land war like we had in the 1860s, probably, right?
Well, illegal immigrants, it's going to happen no matter what.
The 47% of Americans in a recent poll said that they think there could be civil war in this country. Do you see that?
I'm in the Army. I don't want that. I don't want civil war.
Are you active duty?
I'm National Guard, but I'm going deployment this November of this year. And I don't want civil war. People is talking about war and things like that. People who don't know nothing about it. This is something that should never happen. I hope it never happen, you know?
Yeah.
Because civil war or any type of war is a horrible thing. A lot of people are going to die. A lot of people are going to suffer. I don't even want to think about this, this type of thing, because civil war is a big word. It's a big word. It's better not even use it. But people is using it like for nothing. But I'm telling you, it's people who don't know nothing about war, about what it is, suffering, this type of thing.
If President Trump were to lose, what would that mean for you and for the country?
Doom. I mean, something's got to change. This administration now is not for this country. They're for every country except us. Yeah, so there's got to be a change somewhere.
Okay, welcome back. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh by Hashem, Yahushua by Hashem, B'Kak and double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching this truth that's gone all around the earth, and shalom to the hopeful elect out there. All right, we're going to get into a quick lesson based off of that news clip that we saw, those few interviews with those who are what you would call, I guess, mega supporters, all right, for DJ Trump, okay, and what it would mean to this place, all right, this country, all right, if he does not get in. And you heard some of the opinions of some of the people. Now, we don't have a dog in this race, right? We could care less, because whatsoever the Most High, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, has already put into motion will be what his desire is, all right? But just for argument's sake, these people think that it's going to be based on their hands, right? Whatever lever or ballot that they pull is going to determine what the outcome of this place is going to be. Right? Nothing could be further from the truth. All right? The Lord is in control, and whoever it is that he wants to be sitting in that seat, okay, until the end of this thing. That is the Lord's will. All right, so with that said, and just out of my humble opinion, okay, if this lady wins, this East Indian lady that's running wins, and everybody knows her history, her track record as a prosecutor in the state of California, all right, and the fact that she was so-called vice president and did absolutely nothing, it would be fitting, just me thinking as a man, if she did get that seat, all right, and she did hold that Oval Office, because for Babylon the Great, which is a great whore, why not have a whore that's sitting in that seat? All right, and that's just my humble opinion. All right. So anyway, we're going to get a few scriptures because there was a couple things said within those news clips that I kind of just wanted to address. And the first one was that first elderly lady, right, that was interviewed and said basically at the end of her statement that we got to do something because God needs some help down here. Well, leave it to what appeared to be an Edomite older woman who thinks that they're going to help God out, as she said. Okay, well, newsflash, lady. The Heavenly Father created all things that you see and the things that you don't see. And so he doesn't need your little vain opinion or help. All right, so we'll get a few scriptures and we'll be done. All right, so this is Job 9:1, and it reads, Then Job answered and said, I know it is so of a truth, but how should a man be just with the Most High? If he will contend with him, he cannot answer him 1 of 1,000. He is wise in heart and mighty in strength, who hath hardened himself against him and has prospered, right? So you can't do anything to the Heavenly Father, okay? You can't tell him ask him why he did something. When is he going to do something? Why did you make this tree look this way? Why did you create the squirrel or the possum, okay? That ugly thing known as a possum, why did you make that? Nobody is on the Lord's level as to why he does anything. Going on to verse 5, it says, Which removeth the mountains, and they know not, which overturneth them in his anger, which shaketh the earth out of her place, and the pillars thereof tremble, which commandeth the sun, and it riseth not, and sealeth up the stars, which alone spreadeth out the heavens, and treadeth upon the waves of the sea, which maketh Arcturus, Orion, Pleiades, and the chambers of the south, which doeth great things past finding out. Right. So the Lord created all these things, the planets, the universe, and here it is, some shriveled up old lady in any town USA thinks that the Most High needs her help. All right. Yea, and wonders without number, lo, he goeth by me, and I see him not. He passes also, Salakia. He passeth on also, but I perceive him not. Behold, he taketh away. Who can hinder him? Who will say unto him, Why doest thou right? How are you going to question the Most High when he does something? You see? Continuing on in Job, we go to another chapter. This is Job 26:5, and it reads, Dead things are formed from under the waters, and the inhabitants thereof. Hell is naked before him, and destruction hath no covering. He stretcheth out the north. Salaki, I don't know why that's there. Verse 7, He stretcheth out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing. He bindeth up the waters in his thick clouds, and the cloud is not rent under him. Salakia, under them. He holdeth back the face of his throne, and spreadeth his cloud upon it. He hath compassed the waters with bounds until the day and night come to an end, right? Because what you call high tide, low tide, right? In the beginning of a day or at the end of a night, and so on, right? The Lord has set bounds that the sea can't overtake the beach and the beach can't overtake the sea, okay? Verse 12, he divided the sea by his power, and by his understanding he smiteth through the proud. By his spirit he hath garnished the heavens. His hand hath formed the crooked serpent. Lo, these are parts of his ways, but how little a portion is heard of him. But the thunder of his power, who can understand? You see, so the Lord is mighty and in a class by himself. Okay, going on, another chapter in Job 38 and 12, and right there at the top you see what? The Most High's mighty power. Verse 12, how hast thou commanded the morning since thy days, and caused the day spring to know its place? This is the Most High addressing Job, okay? That it might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it. It is turned as clay to the seal, and they stand as a garment. And from the wicked their light is withholden, and the high arm shall be broken. Hast thou entered into the springs of the sea, or hast thou walked in the search of the depth? Have the gates of death been opened unto thee, or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death? Hast thou perceived the breath of the earth? Declare if thou knowest it all. Right. So, the Lord is posing these questions to Job. If you know so much, can you tell me this? Can you tell me that? Can you tell me how I formed this? Have you been down to the bottom of the sea? Have you been to death and came back? Okay. This is the greatness of the Most High. All right. So he doesn't need any help from any mere mortals. Okay. Verse 19, where is the way where light dwelleth? And as for darkness, where is the place thereof? That thou shouldest take it to the bound thereof, and that thou shouldest know the path of the house thereof. Knowest thou it because thou wast then born, or because the number of thy days is great? Hast thou entered into the treasures of the snow, or hast thou seen the treasures of the hail, which I have reserved against the time of trouble, against the day of battle and war? But what way is the light parted, which scattereth the east wind upon the earth? Who hath divided a water course for the overflowing of waters, or a way for the lighting of thunder, to cause it to rain on the earth where no man is, on the wilderness wherein there is no man, to satisfy the desolate and waste ground, and to cause the bud of the tender herb to spring forth. Right? So the Lord is the one who's doing all of this. All right? And so if you're so wise and you're so smart and you know how to counsel the Lord, well, then tell him. Okay? But mere man, especially these Edomites, they think they had an answer for everything. All right? And I know she thought she was being humorous by saying that. Okay, because that's that pride that's in them. They think they can actually tell the Most High what to do. All right, even if she tried to make it like a little joke. Verse 28, hath the rain a father, or who hath begotten the drops of dew? Out of whose womb came the ice, in the forest of heaven? Who has gendered it? The waters are hid as with a stone, and the face of the deep is frozen. Canst thou bind the sweet influence of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Okay, which is talking about in the heavens. All right, you look up and you see the band of Orion, all right, the belt of Orion, or Pleiades, the 7 stars, okay, and such. All right, the Lord is the one who hung them there. You see? Canst thou bring forth Meseroth in this season, or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? All right, which are talking about, again, the constellations in the skies. All right. Knowest thou the ordinance of heaven? Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth? And it goes on, and you can read the rest of it. You get the point. Okay, that no man, no mere mortal can tell or question the Most High about how he does something. All right. And then the other portion of that interview, I think towards the end, you had what looked to be an Ephraimite, or he might have been, Simeonite. I couldn't really tell, but you could tell he was of the Latin tribes, and he talked about war, right, and civil war, okay, particularly here in this country, right, and not many people don't understand what would consist in a war. All right. But yes, there'll be civil unrest here in Babylon. All right. Now, whether it comes as a direct result of this one winning and that one losing, well, the Most High is going to let that play out. Okay. But understand that something bad is going to happen in this place. Okay. Before we get to the end, it has to. It's already prophesied. So let's get into 2 Ezra 15. We'll jump in right there. Verse 14 says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands." And we go into this all the time. We've done multiple lessons. The Brotherhood has had great millstone starting with our apostles on down. Many lessons on the breakdowns of 2 Ezra 15, 2 Ezra 13, 14, all right, and 16. Okay? All right? But this is just to get to that point of the danger, all right, of this time that's coming. Okay? "For the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another." That's like a civil war. All right? "They shall not regard their kings nor princes," right? Your governors, your senators, your presidents, your vice presidents, what have you. There will be martial law here in Babylon the Great, and blood will be spilled in this land, right? One against another. Okay, and probably various other places all around the globe. Okay, terror is getting ready to hit this place. Okay. "For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able," right? Because cities are what? Going to be locked down. Okay, if you don't particularly live in that neighborhood or so, all right, there in that vicinity, they may lock you out of that city, right? There's going to be a way that they do it. Okay, just like we've already, like I said, we've done many lessons on 15-minute cities, all right, and all these different types of the whole point of what quote unquote easy pass, all right, getting on different expressways and highways within the country, all right. It didn't used to be that way, all right. So now they've got all these different restrictions going on, how far you can go into a city, okay, without getting a ticket, right? Because they got cameras all over the place and they send you a ticket in the mail and so on and so forth. Okay? Just wait till this thing pops off. It's going to be terrible. You see? Verse 17, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled." Right? And most of these people who are running these cities, the mayors, the deputy chiefs, and so on and so forth, most of them are Edomites. Okay? "For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation," right? So that's trouble that's coming, right? People are going to be out of work. People are not going to have any kind of way to feed themselves. This may be at a time during the implementation of the MOTB, right, the CHIP, that we constantly warn you about, okay? Let's see here. Do we want to go on? Let's read verse 20. "Behold, said the Most High, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south and from the east, and liveliness, and to turn themselves one against another and repay the things that they have done to them." Okay? You can go on and read the rest of that. All right, but that's pretty much the point. That's pretty much where I want to stop right there at 19. Okay? But yes, there's going to be civil war that's coming here. Okay? Let's go over to Second Ezra 16, jump in at right there at the top at verse 15. It says, "The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. Like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon earth shall not return again. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days?" You know, because why? Ezra would be back on the planet during this time of tribulation, time of trouble. Okay, Jacob's trouble. Okay, World War III. All these different scenarios that are on the table. Okay. Verse 18, "The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death." See? The beginning of wars, right? Like that young man was saying, nobody really knows what a war is about. You know, it's not, civil war is a big word, is what he said. Okay? "And the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come?" Verse 19, "Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of scourges. Behold, victuals, which is food, shall be so good cheap upon earth that they think themselves to be in good case. Salakia, and even then shall evils grow, right? Become more. Evils will become commonplace, right? Grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion, right? And that's what you're starting to see now. People are confused about everything. They're confused about the so-called election. They're confused about the economy. They're confused about what the job status is, right? They're confused about all of these things, right? And the wicked are running with it, right? They're the ones who are bringing that confusion, okay? Because what do they call it? Problem, reaction, solution, something to that nature, right? They act like they got the solution to the problem for you, right? But they're the ones who created the problem. Let's go over to Revelation 17. We'll get a couple more. We'll be done. This is Revelation 17. We'll start right here, verse 1. And it reads, "And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters." And that whore is America. All right. And like I said, with Chlamydia Harris, it would be fitting to have a nasty, wicked woman sitting in that seat for this whore America. Okay? "With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunken with the wine of her fornication." Right? All of its policies, quote unquote, democracy, freeing other people from their cultures, as it were. All right? America is guilty for a lot of death. Okay? "So he carried me away," verse 3, "So he carried me away in a spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication." And that's America, all right? With all the wickedness that's here in this land and what they have spread abroad, right, through their diplomacy. You see? We get one more. This is 2 Ezra 13. Yeah, we can start right there, verse 3. 13 and 3, and it says, "And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven," which is Yahweh Shai, and what? The angels coming back, all right, to fight. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graven himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. Right? So that's Yahushua coming back in his great big gigantic chariot, okay, which the world calls UFO. All right. But I would have seen the region of the place where out the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, and yet durst fight. Okay, and that's these nations in World War III as they fight each other and see Yahushua and the host of heaven coming. They're going to turn and band together and try to fight the Lord. That what most people would call a war in heaven, right? That's what they reference it. But that's what this is talking about, okay? So there will be war that's coming, be it starting out here as a civil war, okay? And then also WW3, okay? So that's all on the table. And so those were pretty much the 2 points that I wanted to get out of those interviews, okay? All right. Pretty much that's it. You know, Lord's will, you get the point, all right? So, yeah, those things, you know, people in general think, as far as the election is concerned, that they really hold some kind of sway, you know, and all of this is already planned out by Yahweh Shem Yahushua. It's going to happen exactly the way the Lord had it written out, all right? So that, we'll end the lesson right there. Lord willing, it was edifying. We'll give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. Shalom.